Arsenal Daily News, Portsmouth FA Cup Match Preview. Hello, Arsenal fans, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today we got some really exciting team news to discuss as the Gunners prepare to face Portsmouth in the FA Cup third round. This is a match that could see some massive changes to the starting 11, and we are going to break down everything you need to know about the predicted lineup and what it means for the club moving forward. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an Arsenal update. Now, let's get straight into it. The FA Cup challenge ahead. Arsenal are taking on Portsmouth this Sunday in what presents a really interesting challenge for Mikel Arteta and his squad. Now, if you've been following Arsenal in recent seasons, you'll know that the FA Cup has not been kind to us in the early rounds. We have suffered some pretty painful eliminations to Manchester United, Liverpool, and Manchester City in recent years, and those early exits have definitely stung the fan base. But here's the good news. This time around, Arsenal have been handed a much more welcoming draw against lower league opposition in Portsmouth. This is exactly the kind of fixture where we should be progressing comfortably, and it gives Arteta a perfect opportunity to rotate his squad and give some players who have not had much game time a chance to shine. What makes this match even more significant is the fixture congestion Arsenal are facing right now. This Portsmouth game is actually the first of 4 away matches in just 10 days for the Gunners. That is an absolutely brutal schedule, and it means that squad rotation is not just preferred. It is absolutely necessary if we want to keep our key players fresh for the bigger battles ahead in the Premier League and Champions League. Goalkeeper. Kepa gets a chance. Let's start with the goalkeeper position, and this one is pretty straightforward. Kepa Arrizabalaga is expected to come back into the side as Arsenal's Cup goalkeeper. Now, Kepa has actually performed really well in the League Cup this season, and Arsenal fans will remember his heroics in the penalty shootout that helped the Gunners reach the semi-final of that competition. The Spanish goalkeeper has proven himself to be a reliable option when called upon, and giving him game time in the FA Cup makes perfect sense. It keeps David Raya fresh for the Premier League matches, while also rewarding Kepa for his good performances and keeping him sharp and ready when needed. This is exactly the kind of squad management that top clubs need to master. Defense, a mix of rest and necessity. Moving to the defense, and this is where things get really interesting. The back line is expected to see some changes, but not all of them are by choice. Let us break down each position. At right back, Ben White is predicted to come back into the starting 11. Now, Jurrien Timber has been playing a significant amount of football recently, and getting Ben White back in is a great relief for the Dutchman. It gives Timber some much-needed rest, while also providing White with a great opportunity to get some valuable playing time and maintain his match fitness. This is a win-win situation for Arsenal. In the center of defense, we are expecting to see William Saliba continue in the starting lineup. Now, there's a player named Christian Mosquera who would have potentially played this game, but he is not yet back fit, although he is reportedly closing in on his return. Because Mosquera is not available, Saliba must continue to start and help Arsenal find more victories. The French defender has been absolutely crucial for Arsenal this season, and while ideally he would get some rest, the injury situation means he is likely going to be needed. Alongside Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes is also expected to start. This is another case where Arsenal's hand has been forced by injury circumstances. Piero Hincapié was injured in the game against Liverpool and is unlikely to be available for this Portsmouth match. That means Gabriel is likely going to be needed to play the majority, if not all, of this match as well. It is not ideal to have both of your first-choice center-backs playing an FA Cup third-round tie, but sometimes injuries dictate team selection. At left back, Miles Lewis-Skelly is likely to play because Ricardo Calafiori is another player not expected to be back for this game. This means Lewis-Skelly gets another opportunity to showcase his abilities, and according to the article, he needs a big performance. The young defender has shown promise when given opportunities, and this is exactly the kind of match where he can build confidence and prove he deserves more minutes going forward. Midfield, fresh legs and engine room. Now let's talk about the midfield. And this is where we are really going to see some rotation and fresh faces coming into the team. Christian Norgard is predicted to start, and the article suggests he has perhaps been underutilized this season. Whenever Norgard has been called upon, he He has played well and will be a reliable figure in this match. Getting him involved is important for squad harmony and also gives Arsenal a different option in the middle of the park. Every player needs to feel valued, and matches like this are perfect for keeping squad players sharp and engaged. Alongside Norgard, Mikel Merino is expected to come into the starting 11. This is all about giving Declan Rice a much-needed rest, especially after what the article describes as an uncharacteristically poor game by his high standards against Liverpool. Rice has been playing an enormous amount of football, and even the best players need a break sometimes. Merino is a quality player who is more than capable of stepping in and doing an excellent job in this fixture. The really exciting selection in midfield is Ethan Nwaneri. The article makes it very clear that if Nwaneri does not start this game, there are serious questions about where we go with the 18-year-old who desperately needs some minutes. He surely comes in here according to the prediction. This is massive for Nwaneri and for Arsenal fans who have been desperate to see more of this incredibly talented young player. At just 18 years old, Nwaneri has shown glimpses of real quality, and an FA Cup tie against Portsmouth is the perfect stage for him to get a full 90 minutes and show what he can do. Attack. Exciting changes up front. Now we get to the attack, and this is where things get really fascinating. Arsenal are expected to make some significant changes to their front three, and there are some really intriguing names predicted to start. On the right wing, Noni Madueke is expected to come into the starting 11. The article mentions that the writer was quite happy with what they saw from Madueke against both Bournemouth and in his smaller cameo against Liverpool. The key phrase here is that he makes things happen, and that is exactly what Arsenal need from their wide players. Madueke will be expecting to come in and start here, and it will be fascinating to see if he can build on those positive performances and stake a claim for more regular minutes. Leading the line, Gabriel Jesus is predicted to finally get a start. This presents a significant opportunity for the Brazilian striker, especially with Kai Havertz returning to fitness soon as well. The article states that Jesus is the profile that Arsenal need at the tip of the spear, and interestingly mentions that Gyokeres needs taking out firing line. This suggests that Victor Gyokeres may have been struggling recently, and that Jesus deserves a chance to show what he can offer the team. For Jesus, this is a huge opportunity to prove his worth and remind everyone of his quality. On the left wing, Ebereki Eze is predicted to start. The article describes Eze as another player who has not had much in the way of an opportunity of late, but will get one here. With Nwaneri expected to play in the middle of the pitch, it makes sense for Eze to move to the left-hand side according to prediction. Eze is a player with tremendous technical ability, and getting him involved in matches like this is crucial for keeping him sharp and integrated into the squad. What this all means for Arsenal. So what does this predicted lineup tell us about Arsenal's approach to this match and the broader season? Let me break down the key themes and what they mean for the Gunners moving forward. First and foremost, this shows that Arteta is taking squad rotation seriously. With 4 away games in 10 days, the manager simply cannot afford to run his first-choice players into the ground. We have seen too many times in recent seasons where injuries have derailed Arsenal's season, and smart rotation in cup competitions is essential to avoid that happening again. Secondly, this match is a golden opportunity for fringe players to stake their claim. Players like Norgard, Madueke, Eze, and especially Nwaneri need these minutes to develop, maintain fitness, and show the manager they deserve more opportunities. Football is all about taking your chances when they come, and this Portsmouth match is exactly that kind of opportunity. Third, the injury situation is clearly impacting team selection more than Arsenal would like. Ideally, you would want to rest both Saliba and Gabriel for a match like this, but with Hincapie injured and Mascara not yet fit, Arteta does not have that luxury. The same applies to Lewis Skelly at left back with Calafari unavailable. These 4 selections highlight just how important squad depth is, and why Arsenal will likely be active in the transfer market to add more options. Fourth, the Gabriel Jesus selection is really interesting from a tactical and personal perspective. If Jesus does start and performs well, it could change the dynamics of Arsenal's attack going forward. The Brazilian has quality and experience, and if he can rediscover his best form, it gives Arsenal another dimension in attack. The mention of Gyokeres needing to come out of the firing line suggests there might be some concerns about the Swedish striker's recent performances, making Jesus' opportunity even more significant. Finally, this match is about building momentum and confidence. Arsenal have had some disappointing early exits from the FA Cup in recent years, and while the competition might not be the absolute top priority compared to Premier League and Champions League, it is still a major trophy that every club wants to win. Getting convincing victory against Portsmouth and progressing to the next round would be great for team morale and could spark a run in the competition. The broader context. It is worth remembering that this match comes at a crucial point in Arsenal season. The Gunners are competing on multiple fronts, and managing the squad effectively across all competitions is going to be absolutely vital if they want to achieve their goals this season. The FA Cup represents a realistic chance of silverware. Yes, the Premier League is the ultimate goal, and yes, the Champions League would be incredible, but the FA Cup is a prestigious competition with a proud history, and Arsenal have a fantastic record in this tournament historically. Adding another FA Cup to the trophy cabinet would be significant, and it starts with taking care of business against Portsmouth. The predicted 9 changes to the team also show that Arteta has trust in his squad. He is not just paying lip service to squad depth. He is actually willing to make wholesale changes and give opportunities to players who have been waiting patiently for their chance. This is great for squad morale because every player feels like they have a role to play and opportunities will come their way if they work hard and stay ready. What to watch for? When this match kicks off on Sunday, there are several key things that Arsenal fans should be watching closely. First, watch Ethan Nwaneri. If the 18-year-old does indeed start as predicted, this is a massive opportunity for him to showcase his talent on a bigger stage. Arsenal fans have been crying out to see more than Nwaneri, and if he delivers a strong performance, it could force Arteta's hand in giving him more minutes in bigger matches going forward. Second, keep an eye on Gabriel Jesus. The Brazilian needs to make a statement with this start. With Havertz coming back to fitness and competition for places heating up, Jesus needs to remind everyone of his quality and show he deserves more regular opportunities. A goal or 2 would do wonders for his confidence. Third, watch how the defense copes with having Saliba and Gabriel playing together. While it is not ideal to have both starting in this type of match, it does give them an opportunity to build chemistry and sharpness ahead of bigger challenges. If they can keep a clean sheet and look solid, that is a positive to take forward. Fourth, observe how players like Maduk and Ease perform when given extended minutes. These are players who need to show they can be trusted when called upon. If they produce quality performances, it strengthens Arsenal's squad depth significantly. Finally, watch the overall team performance and attitude. Arsenal cannot afford to be complacent just because Portsmouth play in a lower division. Professional football is full of upsets, especially in cup competitions. The Gunners need to approach this match with focus, intensity, and professionalism from the first whistle to the last. Final thoughts. This Portsmouth match represents so much more than just an FA Cup third-round tie. It is about squad rotation, player development, injury management, building momentum, and taking another step toward potential silverware. The predicted 9 changes show that Arteta is thinking strategically about the long game while still respecting the competition and the opponent. For players like Nwaneri, Jesus, Ease, and Maduk, this is their moment to shine. For the team as a whole, this is about professional execution and getting the job done. For Arsenal fans, this is an opportunity to see some different faces and potentially watch some exciting young talent take center stage. The FA Cup has not been kind to Arsenal in recent years with those early exits to big rivals, but this year presents a real opportunity to go on a run in the competition. It all starts with taking care of business against Portsmouth, and based on the predicted lineup, Arteta is taking the match seriously while also being smart about managing his squad through incredibly demanding period of fixtures. Make sure you tune in on Sunday to see if these predictions come true and how the team performs. And do not forget to let me know in the comments what you think of this predicted lineup. Are you excited to see Nwaneri start? Do you think Jesus will take his opportunity? What are your score predictions? Thanks so much for watching Arsenal Daily News. If you enjoyed this analysis, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so you never miss an update. Until next time, come on you Gunners. Arsenal Daily News Analysis, the Thomas Frank situation at Tottenham. Hello and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today we got an absolutely fascinating story that Arsenal fans are going to love. This is one of those moments where you just cannot make this stuff up. We are talking about Tottenham Hotspur and their current manager Thomas Frank, who has found himself in the most embarrassing situation imaginable for someone managing our biggest rivals. Now, before we dive deep into this story, let me paint the picture for you. Tottenham are struggling badly right now. We are talking about a team that has won just once in their last 7 matches. They are in terrible form. The pressure is mounting on their manager, and the fans are getting increasingly frustrated. But what happened recently has taken the situation to a whole new level of drama. The Arsenal Cup incident. Let me tell you about what happened before Tottenham's match against Bournemouth on Wednesday night. This is the kind of thing that will go down in North London derby folklore. Thomas Frank, the current manager of Tottenham Hotspur, was photographed drinking from a cup. Now, you might be thinking, what is the big deal about a manager drinking from a cup? Well, here is where it gets interesting. The cup had Arsenal's logo on it. Yes, you heard that right. The Tottenham manager was caught on camera drinking from an Arsenal-branded cup. Can you imagine the reaction? Arsenal fans absolutely loved this. Tottenham fans were furious. And poor Thomas Frank had to stand there and explain himself like he had been caught doing something terrible. The images emerged ahead of their Wednesday night match, which ended in a 3-2 loss against Bournemouth in the Premier League. Talk about bad timing. So how did this happen? Frank gave his explanation after the Bournemouth game, and honestly, it makes sense when you hear it. He said, and I quote, "I think it is fair to say that we're not winning every single football match, so it would be absolutely, completely stupid of me to take a cup with Arsenal." He went on to explain that Arsenal had played at Bournemouth Stadium in the game before Tottenham's match. The Arsenal staff had been in the changing room, and they left these cups behind. Frank said that all the staff has done it. They were just there in the changing room from the previous game. He explained that it is normal for him to take a cup and get an espresso before every game. He does this as part of his pre-match routine. Frank actually seemed a bit frustrated that he even had to answer questions about this. He said, "I think actually it is a little bit sad in football that I need to be asked a question about that. I think we are definitely going in the wrong direction. If we need to worry about me having a cup with another logo of another club, of course I will never do that. That is extremely stupid." Now, from a neutral perspective, you can understand his point. It was an innocent mistake. He grabbed the cup without looking at it. But here is the thing. When you're the manager of Tottenham Hotspur and you are not winning games, and the pressure is building, and then you get photographed with an Arsenal Cup, innocent or not, it looks terrible. It is the kind of optics that you just cannot afford when things are already going badly. The Aston Villa match and fan reaction. But the story does not end there. Fast forward to the FA Cup third-round match between Tottenham and Aston Villa. This is where things get even more interesting for us Arsenal fans, watching from the sidelines. The traveling Aston Villa fans, all 9,000 of them in the away end, decide to have some fun at Thomas Frank's expense. During the first half of the match, these fans could be heard singing, "Thomas Frank is an Arsenal fan." Can you imagine being Thomas Frank, standing on the touchline, trying to concentrate on the game, and hearing 9,000 opposition fans singing that you support Arsenal? This is the kind of thing that will haunt you. The chant was directly referring to those pictures of him drinking from the Arsenal-branded cup. But the Villa fans were not done yet. As the match went on and Villa took the lead, the chants got even worse for Frank. Later in the match, with Villa leading, you could hear chants of, "You are getting sacked in the morning," coming from the away end. Now, these are the kind of chants that managers hear when things are going really badly. And for Thomas Frank, things are indeed going really badly. The match result and growing pressure. Let me tell you about how that FA Cup match actually went, because it just adds to the misery for Tottenham. They went into this game desperately needing a result. They were looking to bounce back from that disappointing 3-2 loss against Bournemouth. They needed something positive to turn the narrative around. But it did not go according to plan. Emi Buendia scored for Aston Villa in the 22nd minute. Then, just before halftime, Morgan Rogers added a second goal. Tottenham went into the break trailing 2-0. They came out in the second half, and Wilson Odobert managed to pull one back, giving them hope. Tottenham searched desperately for a way to turn the game around, but they could not find an equalizer. Now, if Tottenham go on to lose this match against Villa, and based on the article, they were losing when it was written, it would mean they are winless in their last 4 games in all competitions. Remember, they have only won once in their last 7 matches overall. This is a crisis situation for any big club, let alone Tottenham, who have high expectations. Why Arsenal fans are loving this. Now, as Arsenal fans, we have to talk about why this whole situation is so enjoyable for us. The rivalry between Arsenal and Tottenham is one of the fiercest in world football. It is called the North London Derby for a reason. These two clubs are separated by just a few miles, and the animosity between the fan bases runs deep. When Arsenal are doing well and Tottenham are struggling, it makes it even sweeter for us. And when Tottenham are struggling and their manager gets caught drinking from an Arsenal cup, well, that is just comedy gold. It is the kind of story that Arsenal fans will be talking about for years to come. Think about it from our perspective. We are watching our biggest rivals go through a terrible period. Their manager is under massive pressure. The fans are calling for him to be sacked. They are getting knocked out of cup competitions. And in the middle of all this chaos, their manager accidentally uses Arsenal-branded equipment. You honestly could not write a better script if you tried. The fact that opposition fans are now singing about it during matches just adds another layer to the whole thing. Every time Thomas Frank stands on that touchline for the rest of his time at Tottenham, there's a good chance that away fans are going to remind him of this incident. It has become part of his story now, whether he likes it or not. The broader context of Tottenham's struggles. But let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture here, because this is not just about one embarrassing photo. This is about a club in crisis. Tottenham are genuinely struggling right now. When a team has won just once in 7 matches, that is not a blip. That is a serious problem that needs addressing. The pressure on Thomas Frank is clearly growing. You do not get 9,000 away fans singing. You're getting sacked in the morning unless things are going really badly. You do not get your own fans questioning your position unless there is genuine concern about the direction of the club. A possible early exit from the FA Cup, which seems likely based on them losing to Villa, just piles more pressure on Frank. The FA Cup is important for clubs like Tottenham. It is a realistic chance of winning silverware. Getting knocked out in the 3rd round is unacceptable for a club of Tottenham's stature. And this Arsenal Cup incident, as minor as it might seem on the surface, is not going to help Frank's situation at all. In fact, it makes things worse because it has become a stick for people to beat him with. Every pundit, every fan, every journalist can now point to this moment and use it as another example of how things are falling apart at Tottenham. What comes next for Tottenham? According to the article, Tottenham are back in action next weekend when they host West Ham United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The match is scheduled for Saturday with a 3 p.m. kickoff. This is going to be a massive game for Thomas Frank. West Ham are described in the article as struggling, which means this is exactly the kind of game that Tottenham need to win. If Frank cannot get a result against a struggling West Ham team at home, then the calls for his dismissal are only going to get louder. The fans will be expecting nothing less than 3 points. Anything else, and the pressure will become unbearable. But Tottenham have been handed another injury blow that is going to make things even more difficult. During the game against Villa, their forward Richarlison was forced off the pitch in the first half with what looked like a hamstring injury. Losing players to injury when you're already struggling is the last thing any manager needs. Hamstring injuries can keep players out for weeks or even months depending on the severity. If Richarlison is out for an extended period, that is one less attacking option for Frank to work with. It is just another problem added to a growing list of problems at Tottenham right now. The Arsenal perspective. From an Arsenal point of view, we are obviously enjoying the situation. Schadenfreude is a big part of football rivalries, and seeing Tottenham struggle while we are competing at the top end of the table makes the rivalry even more satisfying. But there's also a part of this that shows just how high the pressure is in football management. One small mistake, like grabbing the wrong cup, can blow up into a massive story when you are not winning games. If Tottenham were top of the league and flying, this Arsenal Cup incident would have been a funny footnote. People would have laughed it off and moved on. But because they are struggling, because the pressure is mounting, because the fans are frustrated, it becomes ammunition. It becomes another reason for people to question whether Frank is the right man for the job. It is harsh, but that is the reality of managing a big football club. The wider implications. This whole situation also tells us something about the state of both North London clubs right now. Arsenal are in a much better position than Tottenham. While Tottenham are fighting to get out of their current slump, Arsenal are competing for major honors. The contrast could not be starker. For Arsenal fans who have suffered through some difficult years, watching our biggest rivals go through their own struggles is sweet revenge. There were times when Tottenham finished above us in the league. There were times when they mocked us for our own problems. Now the tables have turned, and we are the ones enjoying their misery. The Thomas Frank Arsenal Cup incident will go down as one of those moments that perfectly encapsulates a period of time. Years from now, when people talk about this era of the North London Derby, this will be one of the stories that gets told. It is embarrassing for Tottenham, hilarious for Arsenal fans, and symbolic of just how badly things are going at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium right now. Final thoughts. So there you have it. The complete story of Thomas Frank's Arsenal Cup blunder and the growing crisis at Tottenham. From the initial incident before the Bournemouth game, to the Villa fans singing about it, to the mounting pressure on Frank's position, this has been a perfect storm of bad news for our North London rivals. As Arsenal fans, we can sit back and enjoy the spectacle. We can laugh at the misfortune of our biggest rivals. We can share the memes and the jokes about Thomas Frank being an Arsenal fan. Because in football, these are the moments that make the rivalry special. These are the stories that get passed down through generations of fans. For Tottenham and Thomas Frank, the road ahead looks difficult. They need to turn this form around quickly, or the call for change will become impossible to ignore. The West Ham game next weekend is absolutely crucial. Frank needs a win, needs a convincing performance, and needs to start changing the narrative around his time at Tottenham. But for now, for this moment, Arsenal fans can enjoy the chaos. We can enjoy the fact that Tottenham are struggling. We can enjoy the fact that their manager got caught with an Arsenal Cup. And we can enjoy the fact that 9,000 Aston Villa fans sang about it during an FA Cup match. Thank you for watching Arsenal Daily News. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this analysis. And let me know in the comments what you think about this whole situation. Do you think Thomas Frank will survive at Tottenham? How long before they make a change? Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, keep supporting the Arsenal.